I'm here in the Rookwood Necropolis, which is the largest cemetery of its kind in the whole of the Southern Hemisphere. Over 830,000 people have either been buried or cremated here. That's 830,000 people who at some stage since 1837 have had their lives remembered and their achievements celebrated. And that includes a number of notable Australians as well, people like John Fairfax of the Media Empire, David Jones, who started that retail chain, and people like Peter Dodds McCormick, who was the man who wrote our current national anthem, Advance Australia Fair. Another person who has his story in the Australian history books is the person whose grave we're at the front of right now, the once Premier of New South Wales, John T. Jack Lang. Jack Lang was the Premier of New South Wales on two different occasions, and it was during one of those occasions when he was meant to be the man who would open the Sydney Harbour Bridge, but if you know that story, he got slightly upstaged. Well, because of that and a number of other things during his political career, his story and his life has been recorded in the histories of New South Wales and indeed of Australia. But of course, as we reflect on the Rookwood Cemetery here, there at least here are 830,000 other people or so whose lives and stories and memories perhaps have been lost or completely forgotten. As I wandered through looking at some of the names and seeing the headstones, I couldn't help but wonder whether if these people could speak, they would ask questions about their lives, if they had any regrets about the things they did or they didn't do. Indeed, whether they would actually ask the question, why was I here at all? What is my purpose in life? As I've walked around here, you can't help but get the sense that life is short. Even if you live as long as Jack Lang lived, which was 98 years, you still realise that life goes pretty quickly. Life is short, but it doesn't have to be meaningless. We don't have to end it wondering what the purpose has been for our existence, no matter how many years it has been. God spoke to the people of Israel during a time of great crisis and despair, and he spoke through the prophet Jeremiah to try to give them some hope that there was meaning to their existence. He said in Jeremiah 29 verse 11, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you hope and a future." With God involved in our lives, we can be sure that this is not a purposeless existence. Life can be so much more than being born, doing a few things, and ending up in a place like this. With God involved, we can find out why on earth we are here. A purpose for each one of our lives, a purpose for your life and a purpose for mine. And our task in this world is to discover it and to fulfill God's purpose for us. We're about to launch into 6 weeks, a 6-week journey of discovery to find out God's purpose for you and for me. And I really do hope that you'll prayerfully engage in this journey so that you can discover through God's word what his purpose is for your life, for however many years it is that he grants you life on this planet. I pray that you will follow us through this journey this morning and beyond as we discover why on earth we're here.